In my 100% run of Rogue Trader Lex Imperialis, I tamed all 4 familiars, sicced a cyber-mastiff on 7 heretics in one turn, and boarded a voidship without blowing a single hull plate. I uncovered a sector-wide conspiracy, handed down verdicts as an overseer, and enforced Imperial law with Arbites grit and a boltgun. I judged the unworthy and dragged my crew through some truly grim choices across the Koronus Expanse. And all of that to bring you my 100% completion review. Now, let's get nerdy. Owlcat Games did not come to mess around with this one. Lex Imperialis is the second major DLC for Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, and it's hands down the most narratively rich, thematically tight, and mechanically substantial addition to the game so far. And by no way does it reinvent the wheel, but it certainly gives the game new treads and throws a few skulls on for good measure. The core of this expansion is a roughly 15-hour self-contained story arc centered on Adapters Arbites, the brutal enforcers of Imperial law. It kicks off with a summons to investigate House Valancius and their involvement in a questionable Tith collection known as the Grand Harvesting. Now this sounds quite dry, doesn't it? However, this thing spirals into political intrigue, mass manipulation, and philosophical questions about justice in the Imperium. What starts off as a small discrepancy quickly reveals layers of bureaucratic rot, economic exploitation, and quiet rebellion. You're not just walking into a courtroom drama, you're walking into a power keg of class struggle, corruption, and state-sanctioned operations. And as a rogue trader, you're positioned right between the grinding gears of Imperial law and frontier pragmatism. The story is framed like a legal thriller, but don't expect courtroom cliches. Expect field investigation, moral arbitration, secret trials, and plenty of good old-fashioned skull-cracking. You'll chase leads across multiple planets, issue warrants, conduct interrogations, and ultimately decide whether House Valancius is a victim of procedural overreach or a perpetrator of systematic abuse. There's a consistent tension between justice and order, between doing what's lawful and doing what's right. And the game makes sure that you feel this. There's no correct path here, just decisions, compromises, and fallout. The tone feels less like traditional 40k bombast, and more like Inquisitor meets Judge Dredd, with a dash of House of Cards. Thematically, it's the sharpest Owlcat's been to date. The story reinforces the Imperium's brutality, but it also interrogates it, and the pacing, shockingly good. Gone are the filler fetch quests and planet-hopping detours. Every beat in Lex Imperialis feels like it builds towards something, towards a reckoning. Whether you uphold the Lex or bend it to your will, the consequences ripple outward. Your decisions don't just shape the fate of one noble house, they will shape the perception of the Imperial authority across the entire Koronus Expanse. Enter Solomon, a judge of the Arbites and one of the best written companions in the game, period. He's a walking contradiction, a man of law who doubts the system, a hammer who wants to be a scalpel. His loyalty quest is excellent, his banter is sharp, and he's got the rarest of things in 40k, emotional depth. Solomon doesn't just spout doctrine or swing a shock maul. He questions, he reflects, and he challenges you. His internal struggle between duty and doubt is handled with real nuance, and depending on your actions, he can double down on his faith in the system or begin to see just how cracked the Lex truly is. As a party member, he's a versatile asset. Mechanically, he synergizes well with both tank and controller builds, thanks to his access to Arbites origin perks and subclass flexibility. You can mold him into a hard-charging subductor who soaks damage and suppresses enemies with crowd control, or tune him toward a castigar build that supports the team through battlefield manipulation and debuffs. And if you're running an overseer build, even better, as he slots into that support structure without effort. What really elevates Solomon is his narrative reactivity. He has something to say about nearly every decision you make, particularly when it intersects with morality, law, or authority. He challenges you when you're too lenient. He chastises you if you're indulging in chaos. But he's not a moral anchor, he's a mirror. And if you push him far enough, he'll change, or even break. And yes, you can romance him. Somehow Alcat managed to make a stoic enforcer of the Emperor's will into someone who can blush. It's weird, it's wonderful, it's Warhammer. Solomon ultimately is more than just a companion. He's a voice for the DLC's central theme. What happens when the law no longer serves the people it claims to protect? And what does justice look like in a system that rewards cruelty? His arc doesn't offer easy answers, but it does give you a reason to care. And in the 41st millennium, that's no small feat. Alrighty then, let's talk about mechanics. The new Tier 2 archetype, Overseer, is a support control hybrid that deploys cybernetic familiars onto the battlefield. Sure, you can see these as your pets that are customizable tactical tools, that is. You give them orders, they execute them, and they synergize with your positioning and squad composition. There are 4 familiar types: the cyber-mastiff, a melee disruptor; the cyber-raven, a psychic AoE caster; the cyber-eagle, vision disruptor; and the servo-skull swarm, a cover provider and an AoE chip damage dealer. Each of these familiars has a distinct role and stat profile, and they are influenced by the origin archetype combination. Add protocols into the mix, essentially mod kits for your familiars, and you've got a ton of tactical depth. The beauty of this class is how seamlessly it plugs into a wide variety of party compositions. Want to stack battlefield control with a castigator Arbites build? Done. Want to double down on a psychic disruption with a psycho origin overseer and a raven familiar that bypasses cover and exploits mines? Go for it. The overseer also turns encounter design on its head. Because familiars are semi-autonomous extensions of your tactical plan, you start thinking in layers. The Mastiff pulls someone out of cover into a cone AoE. The eagle tethers 2 targets and forces them to shoot at a distraction. The skull swarm grants cover while pinging chip damage to break overwatch chains. You're basically playing 4D chess with servo pets. And critically, it's not bloat. This archetype doesn't overcomplicate, it enriches. It gives players a new way to engage with rogue traders' already methodical combat, without ever tipping into micromanagement hell. If anything, it breathes new life into some stale encounter types. Also, you can run multiple overseers in the same party. You want a full-blown servo skull zoo? Now you are able to do exactly that, and it is glorious. If you really want to lean into the theme, the new Arbites origin lets you play as an Imperial judge, a bastion of authority empowered to carry out the Emperor's will with righteous fury and paperwork. This change fundamentally retools your early game, shaping not only your combat capabilities, but how the world reacts to you. There are 3 subclasses here to choose from. Subductor, this is your frontline tank build around crowd control and shield bashing brawling. You get access to shield bash abilities, AoE knockdowns, and damage mitigation tools that let you stand in the middle of a gunfight like you own the place, because as far as the law is concerned, you do. There is also the Vigilant. If the Subductor is the wall, the Vigilant is the battering ram. Shotguns, point-blank burst damage, and aggressive movement tools define this subclass. It's all about forcing engagement, corner checking with deadly efficiency, and turning close quarters into your personal courtroom. Last but not least is the Castigator, the thinking Arbites Arbite. This subclass focuses on fellowship and willpower to debuff enemies, manipulate morale, and lay down field control. It's especially good when paired with overseer builds or psychers. You're not killing enemies, you're condemning them. Beyond combat, the Arbites origin gives you unique dialogue options, investigation tools, and access to decisions that wouldn't otherwise be available. You're treated as an extension of Imperial law, and that creates some incredible friction depending on the company you keep. Further, the cyber-mastiff is an exclusive to Arbites origin overseers, and that in and of itself may be reason enough to take this route. It's thematical and mechanically distinct. That mastiff doesn't just bite things, it drags them, it pins them, it changes positioning dynamics, and with the right protocol, it becomes a reliable opener for any Arbites-led engagement. In short, Arbites Origins is one of the best character foundations LCAT has introduced to date. It enriches narrative roleplay, diversifies tactical options, and leans hard into the core themes of Lex Imperialis law, justice, and the sometimes thin line between those two. What surprised me most about Lex Imperialis is how much it made me think about the structure of Imperial power. Your decisions have teeth. There are multiple factional outcomes, trial verdicts, and even ideological shifts that can nudge your companions forward. It's the first time since the prologue that I felt my rogue trader was more than a glorified errand runner. There are branching paths that don't just shuffle a few lines of dialogue. They reshape how your dynasty is perceived across the Koronus Expanse. Siding with the Arbites can open doors with some factions and slam them shut with others. Bending the law or outright breaking it might get you what you want faster, but it comes at a moral cost, and the game doesn't shy away from making you feel exactly this. Trials, investigation, moral arbitration. Lex Imperialis leans hard into the judicial fantasy. You are not just a warlord anymore. You're a magistrate, a political actor, and in some cases, judge, jury, and executioner. This DLC actually rewards role-playing, which is something I couldn't always say about the base game. Your rogue trader's personality, whether zealous loyalist, cunning pragmatist, or anti-imperialist idealist, shapes how the story unfolds in a meaningful, persistent way. Lex Imperialis is a brilliant DLC. The new systems are smartly integrated, the story feels essential, and the Arbites lens brings a welcome moral sharpness to the power fantasy of rogue trading. If LCAT keeps delivering like this, Rogue Trader might just become an instant classic. If you were waiting for a reason to dive back in, this is it. And if you've never left, congratulations, your loyalty has been rewarded.